Hey, how's everybody doing out there tonight? Welcome to another edition of In the Zone. I'm your host, TK, and we're going to be taking a look at the Langway and Bossy division once again. And joining me as my guest co-host tonight is once again the owner of the Macaulay Mustangs, Keith Salter. Hey, Keith, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How about you?
Hoot. Good hoot to start. Just got to get that out. We'll get her going here. I'm doing pretty good. My team's starting to pick it up, so it's a little more enjoyable for me now. So yeah, when you're always constantly losing, it's not a whole lot of fun. Plus, add that with my NHL team losing all the time too. It's just like lose is always happening in my life.
Coming out of being so promising for the last few years.
Well, yeah, what a piss off.
So close yet so far away type thing, right?
I know. What a situation of just, it was a perfect mess, if it makes any sense. Like,
yeah,
for the Islanders going the 13-game road trip, and just as they return, then they get the COVID and lose all those players. So now you're really in a freaking hole, right? And I don't think they'll.
You know what? I think that they probably got the capabilities.
They got the capabilities of doing it. They got the capabilities of doing it, but that's a pretty deep hole. That's a deep one. They'll be mind you, I worked myself over a pretty deep hole too. So
and it gives you the idea of just how
possible.
Eberle was a little bit better than they gave him credit for, I think.
I always liked Eberle. I wanted Bailey to go over Eberle, and you take Bailey away from this team and put Eberle back, and it's way better. Way better. A
lot of the signings that like the veteran signings and stuff, bringing in Parise and stuff, he's done.
Oh no, he's been absolutely fantastic this year, Parise, for the Isles. Oh yeah. I've never seen a guy so snake bitten in my entire life, but that guy, he's all over the place. His effort level, his hitting, his passing, he does everything right.
But he's got no points.
Well, he finally scored last game. So.
Yeah.
So
that's what drew my attention to it, is the fact that I went, what?
Well, he had assists in that, but not many. But to go that long without a goal, I've never seen anything like it before. He just absolutely is just 100% snake bitten, and Palmieri's the same. Like he's got one goal and so snake bitten, so many of them, and now they're starting to come out of it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the Islanders. We're going to talk about the Bossy division and break it down here now. That is true. Hey, well, we're on a 1-game winning streak, so I'm all happy. So life is good, right? Anytime you win, it always feels good. All right, so we're going to start off with the Bossy division tonight, and of course, we're going to go with the Harrison Lakers, 16-1-1. 33 points. They've actually extended their lead now in the no control zone for the CDS, and they went a perfect 2-0 once again this week. The Lakers had a pretty easy schedule, beating the Flying Colors 6-1 and beating the Gators 7-0.
Pretty solid week. I have not looked at fancy stats as of this point. I'm going to venture to get somewhere along the line. He still had a good week.
14.
I believe he would have lost to you.
No, right at the end, because my goaltending, Bobrovsky just dipped my percentage a little bit low.
But anyway, that aside, considering the big trades that were made by my cohorts in the other division, he still put up the numbers that are saying you're still chasing me, boys.
Oh yeah.
Anybody to try to taking him down right now, even with the improved teams, it's just, I don't know. 16-1-1. That's
one of Renee's biggest keys is so many teams now are going to the 1A, 1B goaltender, and he has just 2 number ones.
Yeah.
And they play like it feels like 70 games a year.
He's got 2 number ones. He's got 3 number ones.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't play that other number one because he doesn't have to.
Well, he was using Demko, and then when Vancouver was sliding, he put Demko on the bench. And and he's running with Saros and Hellebuck.
Yeah.
You
Hard
know?
times there, boy, I'll tell you, with those two
And
guys.
he's got good scoring all the way through his lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his only weakness is penalty minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think there's anything else to say about him. The fucking moneymaker, right?
It's a solid team, but you just don't know, like, at the end, what's going to happen with injuries and stuff like that,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
COVID
Well,
and whatnot.
But you know what? I sometimes think that CDS is a tougher one to win than the Bremen, because it's
Oh,
based on
absolutely.
the whole season, right?
Absolutely.
So when a guy-
I've always stated, I thought that the actual winner of these fantasy leagues is the guy who comes in first overall over a
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, because
And
then it's just a
yeah.
6-week race.
well,
In 6 weeks, it's a race to be the best of the best, really. Like there's a lot of luck involved, right?
if you
But over the
remember,
course of the season, injuries are more prominent than
Yeah.
what they may be in the playoffs.
but if you remember, I was a proponent that got the price of the CDS raised up to 250, right?
Yep.
Because
And I think it's the right decision, really.
yeah, because
It sucks to finish
it's
first
harder-
overall and all the
it's
money
harder
goes
to
to
win
the
than
playoffs.
I've done both, so
Yeah.
right, and I know which one's harder to do, and
Yeah.
it's definitely the season, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. Usually, you know, if you got a really good team, odds are you're going to win a lot of them. You can still get upset, as you know, you've been upset with a better team in that, and yeah, so you just got to go that way and hope for the best. But
Yeah.
Renee's looking totally solid. Totally solid.
You know, like I still think along the way that he has not taken his last loss. I will say that there will be some in the future for him. There's no
well,
question.
I think the Bruins beat him this week.
Oh, they play each other this week?
No, in the fantasy, Harrison Lakers only went 14-1 this week. They didn't go 15-0.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I
The
think
Bruins did beat them.
So and I almost beat him. I should have. Well, I was beating him all week long, and then
Again, why did HC beat him? Because he had the
Goaltending.
combination. That was the only way that Rene was going to be beat.
yeah, in the
He
in
had that combination.
Yeah,
And so there is ways to beat them. The same ways there is to beat any of the top 5-6 teams.
yeah.
You just have to look at it and say, okay, well, how can I beat? Is there a chance I can beat somebody?
Right combination, right time.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to second place, and we're looking at the East Coast Brewers. And for the second week in a row, the let's just say the Brewers are stumbling just a little bit. They come in with a record of 12-6-0 for 24 points, but they had a bit of a surprise loss this week to the Islanders, and as they were
Surprise
upset.
loss?
Oh, they were upset. They were upset by the lower Islanders, and then they had the easy game against Highland and beat them 7-0. So back-to-back weeks now with the East Coast Brewers going 1-1. They're sitting at 12-6. They're still kind of okay in second place, but they're not really safe at second anymore.
Hang on a second. I just want to take a peek at something.
What you peeking at? Maybe I can tell you.
Well, he's got a good solid squad.
Oh yeah,
there's no question in my mind.
Hey,
he won the game that there's no question that he should win. You say that it's an upset. I don't tend to agree with that because he
had 44
he's still
points.
up there. But the thing is that you've been rolling with your team the last couple of weeks because you've got some health now.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like now all of a sudden,
that's still an upset.
You know those big name players that have been hiding on the injury reserve for the last 2 years? Well, all of a sudden they're coming back healthy and you know, you've got a solid lineup. So I don't think that that's a gimme. I initially thought last week that you had no hope in hell in catching him. Well, now I'm kind of thinking you might.
Yeah.
So that being said, as far as that,
he still had a good week.
Like to
he had a good week. He ran into a hot Islanders team.
He's 7-3 in your division.
Yeah.
But he's 12-6 overall.
Yeah.
So that's 5-3. So he's taken lots of losses off the other side. The other division.
I
He's-
have no problem
He's
beating the
beating
other
his
side.
division, which is good, right? Because really is that's the strength of it, is you've got to beat people in your own division. Otherwise,
Yeah.
so, but he seems to be having that little bit of an issue in the crossover games and stuff, but yeah, he's still a contender.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's still going strong.
He a couple of tweaks here and there.
Hey,
know?
I think he had the third most points this week.
Yes, exactly.
So,
But a little more depth and a few more tweaks, though. and
I
he
think
could
it
come-
was more he just ran into a hot Islander team at the wrong time.
maybe that's
Because
that's what Fancy kind of
like
even
you've
things out a
always
little bit.
saying, like you've always been saying, if you can put up a consistent 44-point week like he did,
Yeah, you'll win more often than not.
right? So I don't think the week is an indicator of how his team played this week. He deserved a better fate than 1-1. Just ran into the wrong team at the wrong time.
Yes. Well, and obviously, if you were, what was your fancy stat then? If 14-1 was what, right? Renee had.
I was 13-2.
Oh, pretty impressive. So of everybody that he could have lost to, he played one of you. He had to play one of them.
Yeah.
Of everybody he was going to lose to,
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
and it's one of you. And
Yeah.
and you know what? Fancy stats again, or like
I know.
fantasy. But you know what? I had a football fantasy game this year where I won by 0.10. And then another time I had 167 points. Fucking guy that I'm playing against goes 178. Nobody else could have beat me.
Yeah, I know.
And then, so what do I get? I get the big zero regardless, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, and then to prove my point no better than that, we've already been talking about the Islanders and we're only through two teams here, but sitting in third place is Pitter Patter at 10-7-1 for 21 points, and they hold on to third place. The Islanders have been nipping at their heels for weeks now, and both the Islanders and Pitter Patter have gone 4-0 in the last 4 games. So Pitter Patter hangs on to his 1-point lead by beating the Gators 6-1 and beating the Highlanders 7-0. Now his 24-26 points or whatever got him 2 easy wins, while I had to scrap it out with the East Coast Brewers. So
Well,
that just goes to show you about how fantasy works, right? Like,
right.
and those were,
He beat them, the teams that he has to beat.
yeah, and he probably had a well under 500 record in fantasy stats for the week.
At some point, the shitty teams got to play each other too, Barry.
I know.
It just so happens on a week that you know what? You say what you want. He's still in the playoffs at this point.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not like he's out of it.
Yeah.
I would think that he's knocking on the door more than he is.
Well, he's still missing Barkov, and
And he just lost him again.
yeah, I know he
Came
lost
back
again,
for a game and went back down again.
but
So,
he'll get him back.
exactly. He's just got to stick it close. I believe that in a long haul that you're going to catch him though.
Well, yeah, yeah, okay, let's talk about the Islanders then, sitting in fourth place at 9-7-2 for 20 points, 1 point behind Pitter Patter. And the Islanders, for the first time this year, are in a playoff spot. Something that just weeks ago or a month ago or whatever, people said probably would never have a chance of happening. But there's 4 teams from the Bossy division qualified for the playoffs right now at 9-7-2. Islanders once again went 2-0 for the week. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Islanders beat East Coast Brewers 5-2, putting up 57 points in that game, and also beat the Flames 5-2. And that was a pretty important game for the Flames because the Flames needed to beat the Islanders.
Well, I don't think, as I said earlier, when we were discussing the Brewers, you beating them, there's a possibility that you do slide into second. There's no question. So I think the true colors of your team are finally showing itself, when healthy.
Yeah.
So, and
4 points behind now, and that's 1 week. He goes
4 points behind
Brewers.
No, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, no. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, 24 points.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's only 1 week's worth of play, a 0-2 and a 2-0.
you play him one more time in the next 8
Yeah.
weeks, I believe.
I know, but like I had an outstanding week. And like I said, it's a little deceiving thinking that Dono's dropping because he's not dropping. He just hit a hot Islander team this week
Yep,
where
yep.
normally he would be getting a W in that spot. Pretty much anybody else he played minus
You're selling yourself short.
the Bruins or
I
Lakers,
think you're
right?
selling yourself short. 58 points,
Eh,
right? 58 points.
it's not like
Who else had more? 58 points. You know, this is not
Renee had 54.
as he should. You know, like you kind of expect him to be in the high 40s for sure. Him getting over 50, up to 54, that's a really good week,
Oh, that's an
Right.
excellent week. Yeah.
right? You know, so
His plus minus was down this week though. My plus minus was way up there.
yeah. Well, and that could be some sauce at some point. That's why I said that there's no doubt in my mind that Renee he's going to take his losses just simply because there's just too many guys who've got such good teams.
Yeah,
And-
there's some solid teams out there for sure.
But I'm going to call it right now, and I'll go $20 with anybody that says he doesn't win the CDS.
Oh, ain't nobody gonna
Right.
take you on that one. I don't think, unless you're giving
right?
us.
You know, so
Are you giving us odds?
fuck that. You know, because anything can happen to him at any given time.
I don't know. That's a pretty deep team. Like something could happen. He could still be fine.
Yeah, depends on who the players are that get hurt for him.
I don't know. I want odds. I think like 5-1 or something like that on $20.
Yeah, so I got to pay you 100 if I lose, and you're only paying me 20.
No, 125. 5-1. Oh yeah, 20. Sorry. My
Exactly.
100. Okay. Yeah, that seems
You
right.
win 20, but if I lose, I pay you 100.
But you know what? At 5-1, I'm still not taking that bet because I'm gonna lose $20. I don't see me winning 100.
Yeah,
I mean, he's pulling away. All
Yeah,
right,
so-
and coming up in fifth place is and still baffling me is Flying Colors. They're coming in with a record of 8-10-0 for 16 points. They went 500 this week, going 1-1. Flying Colors beat the Flames 4-3, and the Lakers easily handled the Flying Colors 6-1.
Okay, so again, other than McJesus being there on Flames of Flurry, he still had a shitty week scoring.
Yeah.
So the reality is that the Flying Colors win the game that they're supposed to win based on the standings, and
Okay. Yeah.
and essentially the team that he's playing. He's not beating Renee. Let's get serious.
Yeah.
So you know, he's floundering, of course, I think, but you know, I probably think that he's gonna miss the playoffs, but he'll still be a formidable guy to get that 5th overall pick.
He's still not that far behind though. He's only 4 points behind. If he wants to make
No,
a run, a move or two here or there or whatever. I mean, he's not out of it by any means.
Oops.
So yeah, I think I think if he wanted to, he could easily take a run. But
You think if he improves,
if
make some
he,
trades?
well, if he wanted to, like he could take a run. He's only 4 points behind. Moves are moves, right? If you make positive moves for yourself, they're going to help your team out. I don't know what those
Yes,
moves are.
that's true. But that being said, okay, does he chase Renee down? Absolutely not. Does he
No, not Renee.
chase the Brewers down? No, he doesn't.
Mm.
Can he chase Pitter Patter down? Well, the numbers say yes, because he's 8-10 and Pitter Patter's
Yeah.
only 10-7-1. So
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but the reality of it is that what's his record against winning teams and what's his record against the losing teams?
Don't know.
So he's going to be a lot more better teams than he does losing teams.
Probably.
It's harder to climb than it is.
Yeah.
Right. Hard climb. You got, you know,
I also don't think Garrow has the full knack of how to tank or make a decision on whether to
Yeah.
tank or not to tank. Like, I think he might get caught up in the, well, I could make the playoffs here.
he's got some good players on his team, actually.
Yeah, made a good trade too.
Well, he did actually. I don't think he's strong. Well, sure, he can squeeze into the playoffs, but I don't like the long-term chances. That's why I said he's more likely
Oh,
to be in the 5-8 bracket. Well,
no,
it's certainly an opportunity to win, right?
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just pointing out that
Yeah.
if he decided he wanted to try to do something about it, he's not that far off to take the chance. But I agree with everything you say there for sure.
Oh, he's got some, you know, he's looking down the road. He's got some good goalies coming. He's got Nedeljkovic from Detroit and Swayman from
Yeah.
Boston. And those two young kids seem to be the number one guys in there, you know, like 1A, not
Rask
got
might be
one.
back anytime.
Who?
Rask.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
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 So see what happens.
But that being
then.
said, long term, he's set up long term because he's going to have some goalies that are
Yes.
he's going to be able to build
Yeah.
on. And as I suggested, he's got his defense is weak. But that being said, you know, he's got some guys that he gets to carry over, but he just needs to try and move up that ladder a little bit better by getting better defensemen in the next draft.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be his key. His goaltending for the future, he's set.
I agree with you. I'd say
This year's not going to be his year. I don't think.
No.
That's at this stage of the game.
Well, he kind of made some trades in that direction that he was more rebuilding than going for it. So he made the right moves there. But this team I wanted to talk about quite a bit. The sixth place team, the Flames of Fleury. Now 4-11-3 for 11 points. They had a huge blow to their playoff hopes. They went 0-2. But the worst part about going 0-2 is to the two teams that they lost to, are to two exact teams that they are currently chasing. So the Islanders took the Flames down 5-2. They need to catch the Islanders, who've got the last playoff spot. That backfired. Flying Color, who's right ahead of them, they need to catch them past that team to get to the Islanders. They lose 4-3 to the Flames. So rough week for Wes.
Yeah. He's got to go in full sell mode at this point. You know,
that's just a huge blow. Like to lose to those two teams in particular. It's probably not as bad losing to the Flying Colors. It'd probably been worse if he had a loss to Pitter Patter than Flying Colors, but still two teams that you got to beat if you're going to go on a roll. I mean, we're entering week 10.
He's got like a new franchise type defense. You know, it's really, really weak. He's not strong defensively. And he's got a good comer coming in Spencer Knight, and Darcy Kemper, of course, is going to start playing better, but he's set in goaltending, essentially, I believe. But again, this is a guy that he paid a big price to Connor McDavid, but the results are just not happening, right?
Yeah.
So
my
suggestion is he goes into a sell mode and tries to get in the bottom four.
Well, McDavid, why would he want to get in the bottom four? He's got no draft picks.
His second and third round picks are just as important to him.
I don't think he has his second and third, does he? I don't think he's got them. I will maybe take a look later and see. But anyway,
if he trades McDavid, he should be able to recover.
Yeah, he gets something.
Truth of the matter is that the top teams have already without their draft picks.
You just have to think,
right?
But you have to think when is the point of no return? Is it like today? Is it 2 weeks from now?
Oh, he's got to sell now. He's got to get value for his guys that he's got now, because the price, I firmly believe, because the smart guy already knows that the top teams have already lost their first, second, and third round picks.
Yeah.
So if he's hoping to get anything more than that out of a trade for the rest of the guys that are still involved in there, I don't think there's anybody that's going to pay the price that he thinks he's going to be able to get back. Those guys have already spent their watch.
Well, I think he probably knows he's not getting the first rounder. That's for sure.
But you know what? He still has the piece that he can move McDavid. He's just going to have to move a lot of pieces with it in order to get anything else that he possibly could get out of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's not going to be anybody that's going to give a first, second, or a third for 10 weeks of Connor McDavid. That's just bad asset management.
Yeah.
Right. So if he's got pieces there that can be pulled together with other pieces, well, then he can make a higher demand and possibly recover some of his picks that he did lose.
So it just becomes a point for Wes when he's going to make that decision to pull the plug, or like he's got to start winning now. But like I said,
If
these
he
two
doesn't get in the bottom four too, Terry, and he gets into that 5-8 slot, he's probably picking closer to 8th than he is 5th too. So
Could be.
that's another reason why he would want to try to get into that top 4 pick, even if it's traded. It is what it is. That's the reason why I think that, you know, he doesn't have a hope in hell on the 5-8 side either. If he's losing to everybody right now with Connor McDavid in his lineup, and he's not winning, he's not going to get better.
I just want to check something here. Okay, so basically, the Flames have traded all their picks, so
Okay.
they have no incentive to fall into the bottom 4 or anything. Like they have a 3rd rounder, and they've traded their 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th.
Oof.
So,
Wow.
so there's
Well,
nothing to. So, yeah.
he took a chance. He
Yeah.
wanted to see if he could fight his way in, but
Well,
the
I'd
truth
say
of the matter is we can all see that fantasy teams are not based on one player. You know,
No, but
especially on the offensive
let's
side.
be honest here. McDavid, ever since he acquired him, has probably played his worst hockey of the year, point wise. Anyway, I don't know about his actual playing, but since he's picked up McDavid's gotten like a 1-point game, and you know, what I mean? He was racking up 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 4 points, 3, and the second he acquired me, he just kind of died.
Yeah.
Man, he's going to heat up again. I know he is.
Oh, sure he has to. There's no 2 ways about it. I mean, you gotta, if you're not pegging those two, him and Draisaitl for 150, well, they're on that pace.
So, and speaking of the Flames, I just want to give a big shout out to my number 1 female fan, Jillian. Thank you, Jillian. I always appreciate you. All right, so we're gonna hit 7 and 8, and we're probably gonna zip through them pretty quickly here. We got the Florida Gators coming in at 7th at 315 and 0 for 6 points. Another good tank week for the Gators, going 0-2. They lost to Pitter Patter 6-1, and they lost to Lakers 7-0.
Blake obviously was paying attention last year.
Yep.
He knew that you know, he made some really good trades last year to get himself into it, and this year he kind of knew, and he learned from, you know, the ability to see what Ryan did last year and how Ryan went about it, and it appears that he picked up on it pretty quick, because guess what? He's doing everything that he can to get in that bottom 4.
Oh, I think he's easily secured his spot already.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking at his lineup, and it's health marks everywhere. IR, health marks, you know.
I think he's going to run into the same problem as Dan ran into the first time Dan tanked. So there's still a lesson there to be learned, right?
Yeah.
About bringing some bullets to the gunfight.
Yeah. He's got, but Blake's still got a pretty good a bench of players that he gets to put on the ice when he chooses to. So he's not going to be a slouch at that time either.
No.
You know, he's got Varlamov.
You'd like to be a little
you know better about Varlamov. I'm thinking that the starter for the Islanders.
Sorokin's pretty much taken over now.
Yeah. Okay. So Varlamov almost. But that, now?
I can tell you with Barry Trotz, that can turn in a heartbeat.
Right.
All of a sudden, Varley can have 2 games, and then he's the number 1 again. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's all.
And he's got a few prospects on the way too. So, you know, he's doing it well. You know, he's where he wants to be. So there's nothing, you know.
So, yeah, pretty much status quo week for the Gators. And then we got the Highlanders, who are the experts at tanking now that they have the full arsenal of knowledge on how to tank. They've become the ultimate tank team at 116-1 for 3 points. I'm pretty sure Dan is checked out till the playoffs. And this week he went 0-2, and Pitter Patter hammered him 7-0, and the Brewers hammered him 7-0. And he's probably piling up the most 7-0 losses I've ever seen in a year.
Well, he's checked out, which means that he's probably not spending any more money. So you're right. He did check out. Yeah. You don't really need to hear much from him.
Do these
season? But that being said, he's still poking his nose around.
Do these goals count for Ovi chasing Gretzky's record if he's not in the roster?
Yeah, unfortunately, they do. He's got a dilemma there, you know, like you can't really trade him now.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know if he can really trade him.
This is pretty much when JP traded McDavid to Dan last year for first and second for 1 year McDavid. Now, granted,
yeah, but the thing is, like I said, Terry, there's me, you, and I think Donald. We still have first, seconds. I'm not paying an exorbitant price. I refuse to.
No.
So, you know, Ovechkin at 2 years, that's a pretty healthy, but guess what? It's not 2 years. It says 2 years, but it's only a year.
I know.
Fuck, you know, like, yeah, I'm not. Yeah. So I'd be out. So he probably wants Ovechkin to secure McDavid.
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
And then plus he gets Ovechkin next year that he could trade once the season starts if he's in a rebuild mode or if he can do a complete rebound, the same as Ryan did last year.
That's what he said to Dean in the comment section. He's hanging on to Ovechkin to make sure he wins the first overall pick. All right, so let's review the Bossy division since we're done with it now. Harrison Lakers are sitting up top as they have all year at 33 points. And 9 points back is the second place East Coast Brewers at 24 points. Pitter Patter's been hanging on for dear life for third place at 10-7-1 for 21 points. And the Islanders have been hounding them, and they are 9-7-2 for 20 points. However, the Islanders have entered into the playoff picture for the first time this season. The Islanders are in a playoff spot. Flying Colors then follows up the Islanders 4 points back at 16 points. And the Flames, who have really been struggling lately, are 5 points behind Flying Colors at 11 points. And the Gators at 6, Highlanders at 3. And that's what we have for the Bossy division. So we're going to...
You guys suck.
Well, I would say we're starting to even it up.
I wouldn't say that. What's your second place team's record?
I don't. It doesn't matter. It's who the records are fairly close, right? And you know we're going to get into something about your 13-5 a little bit later on in the show. And I think
the fancy stats are not correct.
You finally qualified. In my mind, you finally qualified this year. But we'll get there. So anyway, let's start with the Langway division. The Colwood Rangers, they held on to top spot after they took it over from the Bruins last week. They're sitting at 14-4-0 for 28 points. However, the Bruins, who went 0-2 last week and fell 3 points behind the Bruins, closed the gap by 2 points by beating the Rangers 6-1. They beat them handily, Keith. And then the Rangers also easily beat the Capitals 7-0.
Wow. I mean, if you're talking about Al, we already know that he's in stink mode too. So that's a game that the Rangers, that's, you know, I'd bet $20 and I'd say I'd give 50-1 odds that Al would beat him. It's not going to happen, right? So that being said, if you know, there's round one for that kind of heavyweight tug up top there between these two guys, and both of them haven't made the big trades last week.
Well, you remember last week?
You look at the game scores, and it's like they got 40 and 38 points. Well, there was quite a few teams that actually got more than that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think that game meant more to them being heads up than it did.
Do you remember what Dean said to us last week? He was scared of the Bruins. once he got Vasilevsky, he was saying last week with that, you were with me, right? On the
Yeah,
podcast?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
He said he's now worried about that he's now chasing the Bruins, even though he's ahead of them.
Well, he got 4 wins and ties shutouts last week, and Markstrom only got 1, and Campbell only got 2. So, you know, but Ryan only got 7 goalie points too. And
Yeah.
there's many other guys out there, whether they're good teams or they've got good goalies or something. Ryan's team probably took a hit in the goalie stats last week.
But you know, want to know
Guys
something
tapped him.
interesting? If you throw Vasilevsky on the Rangers and give give Ryan either one of his goaltenders, then the Rangers win that game.
Oh, okay.
Probably because of the goaltending. The goaltending was quite.
Yeah.
I mean, Vasilevsky made a difference in that game,
Yeah.
even though it was 6-1.
Um,
And Ryan
was also booning it up a little bit. You know, I think his fucking boys would be drinking a little bit too many beers and not smoking enough turtley, right?
Yeah.
And you know, so beer brings out lots of revenge. 40 penalty minutes. I mean, fuck, was he hacking and whacking everybody on a breakaway or something? You know, so his stats across, you know, 929 save percentage, 7 points for wins, ties, shutouts. These are
That's a
the
good
kind of
week.
numbers. That's a good week. And you know, he's probably going to beat most teams on that given week because his stats across the board are really strong.
Yeah.
Everyone minus at 13 too, eh?
Yeah, I know. And remember last week it was something like around minus 17 or whatever. It's weird how that
Well,
works
but that's,
sometimes.
again, you know, like that, as you said a couple of weeks ago, Toffoli on the ice getting 3 net points, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know what the circumstances might have been last week for Ryan, but I mean, if he's got plus 13, that's a big step in the right direction. Now, that being said, he just made that big trade that he, you know, did he remove the plus minus guys and bring in better plus minus guys?
Maybe.
You know, something to look back at. And
is
go,
he that
okay,
crafty? Is he that crafty? Maybe he is.
He's got, you know, fuck, man, I wouldn't pick a winner in any playoff round.
Yeah.
At this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
I think that,
well, except for whoever Renee's playing.
Sorry?
Whoever Renee's playing, I'm picking Renee confidently.
Okay. Bo says hello.
Yeah, that's true. You know, he did that last year too, right? Like it's just so weird how fantasy playoffs go, right? And it's still a half a season away.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, holy moly, it's like that a lot of shit can happen in between that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But you know, it also goes to show too that, you know, as strong as Brewers were last year, he slayed them.
Yeah.
He didn't beat him, he slayed them.
Yeah.
And then he fucking slayed the next team.
That's right.
So right? You know, so the 8 seeds can do it. And by
let's
the way,
talk about
the Canucks were #1 and the fucking LA Kings were 8th and they won the cup.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's happened before. Yep.
So it happens in real life too.
Yes, indeed. All right, so let's talk about that second place team now. Let's talk about brewing up some suds here. Ryan Kelly's team is at 13-4-1 for 27 points. That's only 1 point behind the Rangers now. Obviously, a huge win against the Rangers, and they also beat the Wolfpack 4-3. No, that can't be right. I got the wrong teams. I think they beat the Wolfpack 4-3. I can't remember. No, they crunched somebody else. I got the wrong one in here.
Bruins. He beat Sealand.
Oh, yes.
7-0.
Yes. Yeah, you whacked Sealand 7-0.
Well, Sealand had no goalie starts, first of all.
Yeah. And
sadly, that's one of the strengths of that team.
That's come to haunt them even more as we go down here a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
but again, that's a game that Ryan is set up to win. So going 2-0, that's exactly what he wanted. What
a schedule to do it against, right? The team that was right behind you and the team that's right ahead of you, and he beat them both.
Yeah.
So that's a solid week.
He picked up ground on mostly everybody in the division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm pretty sure Ryan went 15-0.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I mean,
I'd have to go
Strong
recheck
team,
it
you
again.
know, 40 points. You should have been able to beat him, though, I believe. No, not really. He's got good goalie stats. He's got good PIMs.
I think he had a huge amount of goals.
21.
It was the goals. And see, that's one. Okay, there's where Renee can get beat. And I've always found that teams that like put up like 50 points and things like that, you can catch them off guard every once in a while if they have a bad goal week.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get all three categories, those kind of teams can be in a bit of trouble. However, Renee is very solid in net as well. But normally those high teams, if they don't win all three of those categories, they can be in trouble.
Yeah. That was my dilemma a lot back in the old days.
In the old days,
that I was so high octane more than I was anything else, and that's where, you know, as strong as I was always getting beat in the finals or in the semifinals and stuff, and it was because that train of thought, you know, like.
See, and I would have beat Ryan this week, except for those goals. Those goals were like through the roof, and I mean, I had 14 goals, which is pretty good week.
Sure.
And but I didn't have a chance because you got the 21. So that's why he had such,
well, you know
but
what?
that's also why he beat Renee too, right? Like he just got the right categories, like you said. All right, so let's talk about the McCauley Mustangs, shall we? Guess what? For the very first time this year, Keith is alone in third place. You've been in third place before, but you've always been tied with Sealand when you're in third place. However, now for the very first time this year, you sit alone in third spot at 13-5-0 for 26 points. You had a great week. You went 2-0. You beat I've got the wrong teams in here again. Did you play the Caps?
Yeah, I beat Al 7-0. You know, there's no whining about that one, Al. Take your lumps, piss off.
Who'd you beat 4-3? The Wolfpack, right?
The Wolfpack. Yeah. That was a good game.
And
that was one I was watching that all week.
I know that was the one that you said last week that was important to you. That was and it's huge.
I want to push him down, right?
Look at the separation you caused. So like 13-5-0 for 26 points.
Yeah.
That's totally solid. A 2-0 week.
I had a decent week, I think, on an overall. Like my goaltending a little bit lets down. I mean, I'm just not getting the wins.
You were in the 40 points.
Koskinen, I do not feel had a very good week. I don't think he even got a win. Allmark, well, he's a saving grace, to be perfectly honest, and Swayman's actually been getting more starts than him lately. So maybe Allmark's starting to get a few more starts here and there now.
Yeah.
My offensive numbers were not gross. They were in the range that
you're in the 40s. You were in the 40s.
Yeah. 42. So penalty minutes at 33. No, I'm starting to improve there, actually.
I've toughened my team up too. I always used to get beat at penalty minutes, and I'm competitive now.
Yeah, you got and see again when I was high octane.
Thank you, Tanner Jeannot.
Yeah, exactly. When you're high octane, you don't think about plus minus and penalty minutes sometimes either, right? Yeah. So, you know, you do have to look at the overall side of it and go, okay, man, nothing would piss you off more. You get 65 points and you lose.
Or try this, because you've got a high octane team and you get a guy who gets 3 points that night and they're all in the power play and he comes out with a -2.
Right.
Right, because he was on the ice for 2 goals scored against and none of the power plays counted as a plus for him. So boom, I've had that kind of crap happen to me all the time. And it's like, so you got to be careful when you fill up on the high octane guys, like a 100% team full of high octane. But we know
that's why I said it in the past. Like, if you say who is the pure number one offensive talent in fantasy,
it's Wilson.
Brad Marchand.
Or Marchand, yeah, because he gets way more points. So yeah, I would say so.
He's a 100-point guy, and he's probably 80 penalty minutes.
Yeah,
he's a dick. And his plus minus is always plus 20 or something at the end of each season.
I know,
right? So he's across the board a five-star guy.
And he's an empty net fucking beast.
He
just racks up the empty net points, man. Holy Christ, does he rack up the empty net points?
Gretzky lived in that shit too.
I know he did. I know Gretzky's got a shitload of them.
Mike Bossy too, actually.
No, Bossy was never on the ice for empty netters.
It would be fucking Trottier and Gillies. Nystrom.
Yeah, it'd be like Lauren Henning and Goring and Nystrom and Tonelli and those guys. Yeah. No, back in the
Yeah.
day, the coaches never did that shit. They never put their big stars, any team. Gretzky was really about the first one that I really remember them doing that with.
Yeah.
They always had their defensive players out there back in the day. It was always the defensive players. And unless on some special night, some guy had 2 goals and they
Yeah.
might throw him out there to try and get a hat trick. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was always defensive guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, which really, it kind of pisses me off about fantasy because it can really screw with you. Something fierce, these empty net goals, especially now. It's worse than ever because some teams are giving up 2-3 empty netters a night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, come
Because they're
on,
pulling their
dudes.
fucking goalies 4
You're
minutes
out
left.
of the game. You're out of the game. Put your fucking goalie back in. Jesus Christ. Like, give it a rest.
Well, the problem is that they pull their goalie, they get scored upon.
Yeah.
So then the goalie goes back in that, they get possession, go down the other end, they pull
And
the
they
goalie, they score.
I know. And then
So
they,
then the
I
goalie
know.
goes back to his net, and as soon as they get possession and go the other way, he goes back to the bench again, and then the
Yeah.
other team comes back and scores. And it's like, fuck, man, just why don't you go back to the old days where it was 45 to 60 minutes, 60 seconds left? You pulled your goalie.
Yeah.
But it's all this bullshit that they call these analytics and stuff. But anyway, there's no old school guys left. Welcome back, Bruce Boudreau, though.
Oh, yeah. Are you happy to have Bruce Boudreau?
4-0.
All right.
Do you believe?
And Bruce Boudreau?
Sure.
No.
I think that the talent's been there all along. They wanted to get rid of Travis Green, and they fucking did
Oh,
it.
that's
And-
very possible. Teams have done that before.
And so now
Yeah.
Bruce Boudreau comes in. He's a happy-go-lucky kind of coach. You know, he'll bark at you if you're not playing within a specific system and stuff. But you know, like he says, he said in an interview, you know, like, I just got to let the guys play. I got to figure them out too.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, he's
So,
been
anyway,
he's been
aside from
staring
the
at
Canucks.
Jackie Redmond all season. He hasn't been thinking hockey. I wouldn't be thinking hockey working with Jackie Redmond either. All right, so we're going to move on now to our 4th place team, the Sealand Hockey Club, and they are in a bit of a free fall right now. They are 11-7-0 for 22 points, and it's all on the goaltender. So what is going on with Sealand right now is, and I hate to point this out, maybe it'll be a learning lesson, but this one's all on the GM. You know, no excuse to not have at least one backup goaltender when you're a high competing team up there. And I quite frankly, I don't understand it. It looks like he's going to get one back soon, but he's paying for it dearly this week. And all of a sudden, from being in such a great spot, is going dangerously close down into the danger zone where he could be out of the playoffs. So having a bad week at 0-2, the Sealand lost 4-3 to the Outlaws. The Outlaws.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
Bruins beat Sealand 7-0.
But that's goaltending, right?
Yeah, it was all goaltending. Well,
Yeah.
Outlaws got 2 goals.
That's why he loses to the Outlaws.
Yeah.
And he should lose to Ryan. So, you know, like,
Yes.
he's in a free fall because of his goaltending. When
Yeah.
his goaltending comes back, he's going to still consider to be a pain in the ass.
True, but
You know, he's that guy that's going to.
does Chris not have roster spots or something that he can't get himself a? Let me see here.
6-12. Yeah.
What is he here? Yeah, he's got 30 players. So he'd have to drop somebody.
Well,
Oh no, he's picked up Andy Stolars for this week. Okay, so at least he's GMing this week. So he learned his lesson.
yeah, but then, you know, like on the same thing, you know, like sometimes a guy goes on to the IR the day that you set your roster, and then
That's
you go to
true.
work. You go to work, and then when you get home, you go, "Oh fuck, man, what happened?"
No,
You know,
those
like
guys,
I don't use my cell phone sometimes at work.
those guys have been injured for a while now.
Oh, okay.
But one of them might have got injured right before the week started. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to see about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a rough week for Chris, and he's going to need to pick up the socks. So just by doing that little research there, we found out that he got Stollarts, which is actually not a bad pickup right now. That's exactly what he needed to do last week. But as Keith mentioned, it could have been just a set of circumstances. So then we go to the Wolfpack. Wolfpack at 9-7-2 for 20 points for the first time this season are no longer in a playoff spot. The Islanders have taken that over with the identical record of the Wolfpack over in fourth spot in the Bossy division. This week, the Wolfpack went 1-1. They beat who they were supposed to beat in moves like Jagger, and then the Mustangs beat the Wolfpack in a very important game that would have made a big difference in closing the gap. That would have left you, Keith, with 12 wins and him with 10 if he had a 1, but now it's 13-9, big gap.
Yeah. I made that trade with him at the beginning of the season, and his first round pick's pretty important. And if you kind of, he's still got a good team.
Yeah.
He's just, again, he's probably playing the teams that, in that specific week are the only teams that can specifically beat him.
Yes. Yeah. And we know that
No,
happens.
he's had a few of those weeks, I'm sure. And he's still going to be knocking on the door in the end. I only beat him 4-3. So he's, we're not that far apart, in my opinion.
No.
The numbers might be a little bit different because I stole a win from Ryan a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Sometimes when you just steal a win here and a win there, that sometimes can help you along. And, the thing with him now, though, is he's going to have to beat the teams that are above me in theory.
Yes.
To try to catch up.
Yeah.
So, but it could be a free fall for him and CHC, right? Or SHC.
He's still only 1 point out of the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you know what? At the end of the day, that 1-1 record every week for those guys, those teams, they need to have that. When they go 0-2, that's the death.
Yeah.
Right. That's because
you're
not
the 0-2 weeks are the killers.
Yeah. The 2-0 weeks are awesome, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's still going to be there in the end. I mean, he might have some. I'm pretty sure he's got some good assets that he could flip to supplement himself.
We saw last year Bo was not afraid of pulling the trigger on a trade. So I'm sure we can probably expect some moves out of Bo, more to come.
I didn't realize he was such a Rangers fan.
Yeah. And we got 2 of them in this league. I don't know how the hell that happened. I think we got rid of all the Leafs fans though, didn't we? Did we get rid of all the Leafs fans? Do we have any Leaf fans? I don't think we do.
Marty was a Leafs fan.
Yes, he was a huge Leafs fan. And Ryan Driscoll was a huge Leafs fan.
That's right too. Right. Yep.
So I can't off the top of my head think of any Leaf fans in our league. As a matter of fact, we should now probably make that a rule. If you're a Leaf fan, you can't join.
Well, no, sometimes they'll drop the guys that you don't want.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All Leafs, right? Oh, Mikheyev, he's gonna be just like Gretzky. Mikheyev, he's the next Gretzky for sure. All right, so now the next team we're going to is the 6th place team that had a horrible week, and that's Quebec City Outlaws. They go 3-10-5 for 11 points and have a bad tank week, going 1-0-1. The Outlaws beat Sealand 4-3, and then they tied moves like Jagger 3-3. So Outlaws picked up 3 points, and they went from 8th in the division to 6th.
Well, yeah, that's karma. He's probably a little too strong to stay down there.
That's what I said that last week, and Dean said
no. I think it's sometimes if he who did you say he beat?
He beat Sealand.
Okay, so
but he did it with
he didn't beat him. He lost. He won. Sealand lost because they had no goaltending stats. That's the reason why the Outlaws win.
I know.
Now that in itself, that's good for all of us, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right? Because the circumstances allowed for the upset to happen.
Yeah.
And so that sets the standings for those guys at the bottom 8, right?
Yeah.
Because that's essentially No, Sealand's not a bottom 8 team with proper goaltending. There's no way that they are. They should be a
And,
playoff team.
and their goaltending is good when it's there.
Right. So they should be a playoff team. So that
They
is a
should be.
massive upset.
Yeah.
But that stirred it up within the division by creating a little bit of separation in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, then now it's like there's the three of us at Bo, me, and him.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
also Nick's got to feel pretty good about it too, because Nick was way ahead of the Outlaws most of the week. And
Yeah,
he pulls
Yeah.
down and gets a tie with JP. So that was enough to get JP over top of him. So
yeah. He sent me a text in the Vancouver game, and he goes, "I don't need any more fucking points." And I'm like, "You don't want the Canucks to win?"
I hate when I start cheering against my team because of fantasy hockey.
Yeah,
It's not right. It's just
yeah.
not
But
right.
it was a good little chuckle. He's like, "I
Yeah.
can't. If I get any points," he says, "I'll beat him." And he says, "I'm happy with the tie." And I'm like, "Well, yeah. You don't want to be taking wins now, Nick." No, see. Now those are the ones that I said in the past. Those are the important games when
Yes.
you have to lose those games.
Yeah.
Right. For those guys trying to get down there and stay down there, you got to lose those games, and that's where both the Gators and
Highland?
Highlanders. That's where like those two guys. I'm gonna say it right now. Be 1 and 2 at the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I
Right?
absolutely 100% agree with that.
So
I
there's
do.
no question. It's in my mind that's the way it's gonna. Now the battle comes between Al, Nick, and
JP.
JP.
Yeah.
Somebody else is in there too, I believe.
Yeah. So anyway, that like I said, that makes Nick happy as he drops down to the 7th spot, and he's 4-11-3 for 11 points, and he had a better week than he did last week. Last week he was 1-0-1, and this week he went 0-1-1. So much better week for Nick that enabled the Outlaws to jump past him. So he drops down a spot. Now he is tied with JP in points. However, the new tie-breaking rule with fancy stats would put Moose Lake Jagger in the 7th spot and the Outlaws in the 6th.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's gonna be a battle. That'll be a battle between those two guys all year
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, because they both got some good players. So
Yeah.
they might accidentally win a game or two here and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You know, it's the
so
same as
it'll
what
be interesting.
he just did to Sealand, right?
Yeah.
You know, that Sealand just didn't get the goalies, and JP gets them. You know, that's
Yeah.
fantasy hockey.
And who knows, Stolars might not be enough for him in the goaltending department this week either. You know, like Stolars might go 870 with no points.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, Gibson's the guy, right?
Yeah.
So if he gets in, he's probably getting one game. Could be an
Yeah.
870 no win. And that's just like almost almost like having no goalies, because I've seen 870 win the 8% or save percentage many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can happen.
Yeah.
But I have to give kudos out to my good old bud, Mr. Al Gall. He called it. I was worried that maybe he was just getting a little too good when he was 4-5-1 for 9 points. And I was starting to think, man, there's just no way you're going to get down there. Now, however, I will say this, Keith, after I talked about the Capitals, these guys don't know how to tank like we tanked. I believe that 6 wins was the max, and these guys are already getting up there pretty big. Mind you, I guess it was an 11-week season now that I think about it. So I guess it's roughly the same. Anyway, the Capitals are now 4-13-1, which means they've lost 8 in a row. Another good tank week, going 0-2. The Rangers absolutely spanked them 7-0, as did you, Keith, 7-0.
Couldn't draw it up any better, he says. You know, perfect week for him. Draws 2 teams that are supposed to beat him, and they did.
Yeah.
Another one. He's in that battle for that bottom 4 spot too. You know, like really. That's essentially, I think that there's 6 of them. There's, well, okay, the bottom 2, obviously we said the Gators and the Highlanders, and then there's the next 4, the Yager, Outlaws, the Capitals, and Fleury. And those 4 teams, they're going to dictate who's in the bottom 8 and who's in the bottom 4.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this pans out.
Yeah,
The way I see it, I see the Flying Colors somehow ending up just under the playoffs again because, like I said, I don't think Garrow really has 100, or at least his commitment isn't one way or another.
yeah,
Maybe it's the best way to put it. So it'll always keep him up there, right? But not
yeah.
good enough to get in the playoffs. So I think Flying Colors is going to be one of those teams that's going to be up there in
Well, I
the
think it's
like
important
the
that,
seventh or eighth spot.
yeah, I think it's important right now. We're just coming up to the halfway point of the season,
Yeah.
and one thing you got to remember is that if when you drop down into the bottom 8, you specifically want to be in the bottom 4. But the reality says not everybody can
No,
be
you
there.
can't.
So if you end up in the next 4, you got to remember that you're still going to have to be strong enough to try to win that bracket, which could get you the 5th pick.
Right.
Because if you go in there too weak,
5th pick's big.
you could drop all the way back to 8th.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe not so much in this draft because it's really a strong
Loaded.
draft. But, you know, like this last draft and the year before's draft and stuff, when they were really watered down, and, you know, those 3 spots can make a huge difference
Yeah.
between the players you may or may not get.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, if you're trying to rebuild, those are things that you have to consider down the road.
Agree.
You
All
know?
right, so let's recap the Langway division here. So we got the Rangers in first place at 28 points, and the Bruins followed them closely, just one behind at 27. The Mustangs all by themselves, only 1 point behind the Bruins at 26. And then there's a bit of a drop off to Sealand in fourth place with 22 points. Wolfpack, who dropped out of a playoff spot this week and are sitting 5th in the Langway now at 20 points. And the Quebec Outlaws, who had a really good week and hopped over 2 teams, are now in 6th spot with 11 points. Moves like Jagger dropped the spot at 11 points, and the Capitals are in last spot with 9 points. So that takes us to the end of the recap of both the Bossy and the Langway division. All right, so it's that time to go check out my favorite lady known as Fancy Stats, and we're going to see what Fancy has to say about what's been going on in the no control zone. Are we seeing the real deal out there in the standings? Or are we, you know, this is where it tells who the real strong teams are of the league. That's for sure. Yeah. And anyway, coming in 5th spot once again is the Port Elgin Wolfpack at 80 wins, 43 losses, and 12 points for 172 points. So, I mean, there's the Wolfpack in 5th place in the Langway.
And that's what I said. He's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
He's that.
He's a contender.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, like there's the top 4 or 5 teams, and then there's the 3 of us, and he's in that group there. But fuck, man, he can knock anybody off. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know, he's strong all the way around.
Yep.
It's just, you know, I just think that Dean and Renee and Ryan, they're another level, right?
Right now.
Yep.
Right
yep.
now.
Right now. Yep.
Yeah.
But COVID's going to start playing.
We're so, you know what? We're so trained right now to be thinking in that really short seasons we've had. We've had 2 of them now, right? We're forgetting how long this season is, right?
Yeah.
So, like going into this week, once we finish it, we're still not at the halfway point. We're still 1 game behind the halfway point.
Okay.
So 1 game next week. Yeah, 1 game next week, and the 1 game next week will be in the first half of the season, and 1 game in that week will be in starting the second half of the season.
Okay.
11. So that's kind of how it works. So in reality, like there's so much that can go on here that who knows, poor Wolfpack finished in first place in the Langway for all we know.
Yeah.
You never.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
know.
well, injuries and COVID could play a huge part. That's based on the numbers right now. You would say, okay, this is where these teams are. But
don't forget, if the NHL goes to the Olympics, we have those 2 really weird weeks when they leave and when they go back. So those could really hinder a really good team. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, oh, I got no goaltenders going in this half week. Well,
yeah.
tough luck.
Because we all know that when the players come back from Olympics, in most cases, a lot of times their teams allow them the first game back not to play because they're still adjusting to the time zones and stuff.
The funny thing is, I don't think they're going to the Olympics because I don't know. It's
Yeah.
Do you think the players are going to want to go if they find out they get tested positive for COVID? They're going to be in China for an extra 3 weeks. I don't see
Yeah.
them going.
Yeah,
And I think the owners are doing the right thing. This is all on you guys. Your decision.
yeah,
Your decision, man. We're not touching this with a 10-foot pole, so it's all up to you. We'll bite the bullet on the money we lose because of you being gone from our franchise for however long.
Yeah.
Would be well over a month.
Yeah.
By the time, like, if they got COVID there, they'd be gone from their
well,
team
they're already talking in Ontario, playing without fans, eh?
again.
Yeah,
Is that bad?
I read it today.
I never read the news, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay, no, I saw
Ignorance
news
is
article.
bliss.
Sorry.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's just Ottawa and Toronto at this point, but you got to know that if one province in Canada is going to
Oh,
do the size of Ontario,
Yeah.
the rest might have to follow. But
Wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, so fantasy stats, obviously,
Yeah.
getting back to Bo, like he's just got that setup. He's got such a good defense. He's got the king essentially of defense with Fox. So when the Rangers roll well, Bo's going to roll well.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the fourth place team once again. So it's also the East Coast Brewers, and we were kind of, what's wrong with the East Coast Brewers? We were wondering when they lost to the Islanders. Well, nothing's wrong with the East Coast Brewers because they're sitting at 99, 31, and 5 for 201 points. Now that's a 29-point gap between him and the Wolfpack. So there's nothing wrong. That's some separation. There's nothing wrong with Dono's team. Dono's cruising along just fine. He's in that second place spot in the Bossy. He ain't getting any higher than that. He knows that. He probably ain't going any lower than that. But he's on cruise control right now at 201 points.
Fancy stats don't dictate the real standings. You will catch him.
Yeah.
He's not getting on a walkover.
No.
But that being said, you got to remember too that fancy stats started from the season, and they're
I know
started the season up to now, and the changes that have been made in the last month aren't the true fantasy stats.
It'll reset. It will reset.
Yeah,
it will reset. It does reset as the season goes. It starts taking into consideration those trades and that, and it goes, oh, there's a difference here. And believe me, and it's just the same thing. Like with me going 13-2 this week. All of a sudden that puts me in a whole different stratosphere of anything I was doing before, right? And it reflects in my fancy stats big time.
Yeah.
Big time. So that's why she's always pretty much up there. And even with brewing up some suds, grabbing Vasilevsky, they're still riding in third place in fancy stats at 102, 27, and 6 for 210 points. So even
that's
Bruins,
a smaller gap.
Yeah, only 9 points between Ryan and Donald. So it shows you that's close. But then once again,
top four teams, you're pretty much saying the top four teams. There's a gap after that. Yeah.
But don't forget, like you just pointed out, Fancy's not taking into consideration that hardly any of those 210 points were the newly acquired Vasilevsky.
Exactly.
From last week, right?
And that's we're at week 22.
Right. That it'll readjust.
Yeah.
Let's just
of course it will.
Yeah. So so hanging on then is Dean in second place with Galway Rangers at 104, 27, and 7 for 215 points.
Oh, again. That's even a smaller gap.
Yeah. Tightening up.
Okay.
But
so those are the games that against these guys. That's why I would pretty much say that when those guys are playing each other, their fantasy stats are still going to be strong because they're
Yeah.
going to take their hit in the fantasy stats, but not in the regular standings.
Yeah. Well, that's
Right.
what? 14-point gap between Dono and Dean.
Yeah,
So that's
not
really
a lot.
nothing.
That can be
And-
changed in 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, that's in what is that? It's about 135 games or so. 100.
Yeah,
Yeah, 135 games roughly. So, and they're only apart by 7. So,
Yeah.
that's pretty good indicator.
It's
They're
good.
all pretty close.
Yep.
But if you want the gap to increase, then look no further than the first place Harrison Lakers, who once again increased their lead at 119, 13-3 for 241 points.
That's a massive gap.
I-
Now,
I-
fantasy, Renee's being able to ride that from the start of the season, where the other guys have all taken the start of the season to now to try to catch up. And that's the gap difference there, in my estimation. Now, the problem is nobody's going to catch them.
Well,
Not
here's
now.
here's a question for you. Is Renee going to set the record? I
What is
don't
the
know.
record?
I don't know what it is now, but I know your Mustangs were one team that either could have it or
Yeah.
is really close at the same spot with whoever does have it.
I want to think.
I would have to look it up. But the point of the matter
Yeah.
is
That's a
pretty
nice thing
much-
about that's nice thing about the
Yeah.
CBS website. We're all
Yeah.
able to go back and look at the history, right?
right. But
Yeah.
yeah, so right now, I don't know. It's
He
I think he's definitely
he
on
could be in
pace.
tougher now, because I think, if Sealands beat Renee already, that means I think I can beat Renee. I think Bo can beat Renee. I think
Well,
you can beat Renee.
13 people have beaten Renee in what? 135 games.
Okay,
13.
so he has lost 13 times.
But I think 3 of them are against the Rangers, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And stuff like that. So
so he's soaking everybody that he should, and
Yeah.
the guys that are competing with him, he is taking his hits there.
yeah.
I just think that gap is too much at this stage right now.
Oh yeah, I
Continue
do
to
too.
turn out the numbers no matter what.
Well, maybe
They're
not,
facing.
maybe
He's
not,
riding.
maybe not at this stage, but definitely by once we cross over the halfway point, then it's pretty
Okay.
much, I think then if you haven't closed her at all, like we said, we all know anything can happen in fantasy, but this is
Bucky
looking
could
like
lose one of his top goalies.
this is looking like one of the best teams we've ever had in the no control zone.
Oh,
Mind you,
absolutely.
we've had a few teams bolt out like this before. You were one of them, and then you faltered a bit in the second half of the season, if I remember. A little bit. You didn't falter much. What did you have? 6 losses or something like that?
Yeah, I
Can't
can't remember.
remember.
I got 1 year that I was really, really strong. Yeah.
Or something like that. I have to go back and take a
Mm.
look. But right now, Renee's definitely on pace to break the record. Because basically right now he's looking at about two losses for the year.
No, I think I think Ryan can actually beat him, and I think Dean can beat him. That's really what the question comes down to: is that on the given weeks that the heavyweights are playing the heavyweights, anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
It's only one
that's-
week.
Yeah,
Right?
that's for sure.
But the fancy stats do say something, but as you said, they don't account for what's recently just happened.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time for that to
Yes,
be calculated, like you
agreed.
said, right?
Agreed.
So, all in all, though, like it's even the guys at the bottom should really take note to the fancy stats, actually, because by using that, they get a gauge as to over the course of the season, can I actually get down that far, or what's realistic here?
Yeah.
Another one in the CBS Sports that I like is that if you go to stats and then you go to custom reports and then you go to team totals,
Yep.
that's another one that I really like to use. And
I go there all the time.
oh, do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like if we're just throwing little thoughts out and stuff like that. Some guys maybe don't know the website the way that we do because we've been using it for so long and for so many different sports.
Yeah.
Those stats are really important, man. You know, like I go into them and I go, okay, well, when I'm really competitive, I want to know where I'm standing. And as we've been discussing about Renee, if you go and look at those standings, Renee is clearly,
He's about to make a whole lot of money, right?
yeah, exactly.
All the categories.
His,
but
his point
percentage.
totals, he's like fucking 120
I know.
points in front of me.
Yeah. I think
And fuck, we're a week 11.
he's almost 100 points ahead of the next person. I think.
Is it?
I think so.
No.
Something like that. Well, I was taking a look at it once. I'm not sure. Anyway, we got to move on here. So it's that time, one of our favorite times, one of my favorite times anyway. It's that time for, are you a pretender
Or a contender?
Yes. And unfortunately, we were kind of hinting about it a little bit earlier. I have a pretender for you here, and I have him live with me tonight. The Macaulay Mustangs are gonna enter onto the pretender category here with a record of 69, 60, and 6. And they are currently in the standings right now and healthily by quite a few points ahead of 3 teams that are much better than the Mustangs right now. And yet in the standings, he holds as high as a 5-point lead on one team, as high as 2 teams. And so how are you going to react to that, Keith? I'm calling you out. You're a pretender, but I will say this, you're a minor pretender because you're still a good team. It's just, like you said, you're hitting everything at the right time.
Well, I think the one thing that maybe is helping is the waiver wire. I think that I've been kind of successful off of that. No matter the draft, no matter the year, no matter the general managers, when we go to the draft before the season and when we start the season, that waiver list is still full of players that for whatever reason, we all fucking leave them behind.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a stroke of luck as to who gets them and who doesn't.
Yeah.
It's all the timing type thing. I think sometimes where I get my steal of my wins is because I go and beef up in a specific category. So you just look at my transactions. I think I checked it the other day. I've spent like, I don't know, 130 some odd bucks already. So
not for this year.
I'm up to 130.
What you're including your $100 fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ryan, when I talked to Ryan Kelly, 130 is 130 in fees.
Yeah, but I haven't had to buy out contract.
I know that, but when you say 130, I'm thinking 130 Ryan Kelly dollars or $30.
Or Torrin Vanton. Torrin Vanton used to be really, really bad back in the day. Like I could think there's a few years he was up to $200.
Oh my.
But
well, I'll tell you one thing though. I'm going to be a little more cash is going to be coming out of my wallet. I'm going to stop giving so many guys so many breaks and letting them stay on my team for years when they shouldn't be there. Yeah.
Okay.
It's time for me to start doing some buyout bucks.
Yeah. I think it's where you are as a team. You know, like I said to Nick last year, nobody wants fucking Jonathan Quick, Nick. The fucking Kings have sucked for too many years.
Yeah.
His stats aren't that good and everything. And I'm telling him, buy him out. And he goes, no fucking way, Dad. He says, that's $15.
Yeah.
Right. And
hey, if you're shitty, there's no reason to do it. And I've done that.
I get that.
I've kept the guy for a year.
He was trying to win last year.
Oh, that's right.
He was trying to win last year. And Quick was hindering him because it was 3 years that he could be using somewhere else.
Right.
And that's why I said, just fucking buy him out. He wouldn't do it. Now, as it turns out, I mean, look at Quick now, right?
Yeah.
So 1 year a player can not have that value. The next year that they get value. And that's the reason why the draft, like the waiver wire is the way that it is. Because we lose interest in a player for whatever reasons. They get sent to the minors all the time or whatever, and then all of a sudden they come up and they're the next Borchenski, like who's that guy from Ottawa? It was Borchenski or something, wasn't it? He ended up playing with Spezza and Heatley on the line, and he lit it up. And so
I can't remember.
that's like right now I got Evan Rodriguez. Well, he's playing with Sidney Crosby because fucking Gensel and Rust have been out for so long.
Yeah, I know, and
So,
that's what happens. And if you get lucky and the guy clicks with a Crosby or
and I
something,
think that that's where I managed just to steal a couple of wins.
Yeah.
I know. I told you a couple of weeks ago. I says I'm a contender. You asked me at that time
Yep.
in that podcast, and I said
Yeah.
I'm a contender
Yeah.
or
You did.
pretender because I could see my numbers in the league, but I could see my fantasy stats not being that strong.
Well,
So
I was close a couple of times to throwing you on this list, but I didn't. I still thought it's still balanced out. However, not only do we have a pretender in you, we have a contender, and I've already called them out. That's Port Elgin Wolfpack. They are, for example, when I say why Keith is a pretender and the Wolfpack is a contender, you've got the Macaulay Mustangs at 69, 60, and 6, and are 13 and 5 in the standings. And then you got the Port Elgin Wolfpack, who are 80, 43, and 12, which is basically, that's basically 14 wins better than the Mustangs, and they're how many spots below them? 2 spots below them. They're not even in a playoff spot. So the Wolfpack is definitely a contender at 80, 43, and 12. They will make the playoffs. As fancy.
I told you that when we were reviewing last week's scores, like
I know I was trying to
don't
be
have faith.
kind last week. I was trying to be kind last week to everybody. Just
He
kept a clean sheet.
he's the mysterious team, really. I mean, because on any given week, he can put up 50
Oh,
points,
Yeah.
and his goaltending doesn't suck, so
Yeah.
I think he catches me, but I also think with a little bit of luck here and there, if the guys that are in front of him beat him like I'm hoping that they should, and if I can chip in with another loss on him
Yeah.
down the road a bit,
Then you can keep behind you, right?
yeah, I can keep him
Yeah.
behind me. And but the reality is that unless I really make some moves somewhere or another, he very well could catch me. You could catch me.
Yep.
All of a sudden, like, sure, I've been on a good tear, but fuck, the numbers aren't there to dictate the tear.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so I could just as easily go fucking 0-8 the next 4, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, we got games of the week coming up, and you happen to be featured in one of those games of the week. And this could be a very telling tale for your team. The Macaulay Mustangs, who are 13 and 5, will be taking on the Colwood Rangers, 14 and 4.
Well, okay, I'm taking a loss there.
Well, you can't say that.
Well, he's got a little bit scoring, more scoring. Now, my goaltending suspect, whereas his is solid. I could get plus minus and penalty minutes on him,
Yeah.
and then chip in a couple of, stats somewhere along, maybe assists. I can't run with him in goals. He's just got too many gunners. And I'm also a little bit on the hurt side too.
Yeah.
I got guys in my starting lineup like COVID's got taken Goudreau out, well, and Shillington. Fucking Shillington was another find off the waiver wire. That guy's got 15 points. Well, that fucking hurts.
Yeah.
So that's just another way. But mind you, he now loses Markstrom.
Yeah.
So I could steal a goalie stat from him based on that, right?
That's true.
But I'm losing Goudreau and Shillington, and that's, all right, whatever. And then I've got other injuries and stuff. So I'm due to go on my slide. So I'll just call it as it is, and I'll take the loss.
All right. And it was a little bit hard to pick out the games this week, but there's still some good ones. So the good news for you, though, is the Port Elgin Wolfpack are also playing the Rangers this week, and the Wolfpack are 11-4-1 going against 14-4 Rangers.
Well, okay, this is Bo's chance to get back into it.
Yeah.
If he takes a loss to the Rangers,
or if he takes a win and you take a loss,
yeah, that closes the gap.
Yeah.
Right? Because I guess it comes down to who's he playing? Who else is he playing then?
I don't know. If I don't have it down here, it's lopsided.
Okay, so he's playing somebody that he should be beating now.
That he should be beating.
Okay, so it comes down to these 1-and-1 weeks now for Bo.
Yeah.
He in order for fancy to bounce for him,
He's got to go
needs-
2-0.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
needs to go 2-0 more often than not.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's capable of it.
Yep. But
So
what about the Rangers? That's 2 weeks in a row with a really tough schedule. 3 weeks, actually, if I think about it, playing both you and Wolfpack.
well, I think that I just went through something similar where I had to play you, then Ryan, and you came out. That's the week that you came
Yeah.
out.
We
And then-
all go through those weeks.
Yeah, so it's, we're all getting those 3 and 4 week runs where we're facing somebody really good, and
Yeah.
that's where like you beat me, but I beat Ryan type thing, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
I play the Lakers this week, so
yeah, well, okay, that should be a game of the week too, right?
no, it didn't quite make it. But the Harrison Lakers and Pitter Patter made it as a game of the week because Pitter Patter's ahead of me, so I thought that would be more of a game of the week. Lakers being 16-1
Okay, you
one.
take the win and he takes the loss.
I don't think I've beaten Renee this year. Oh yeah, I've beaten him once in the. I think I've beaten him once. No, I don't think I've beaten him.
Yeah, well,
Maybe I have. Oh no, I did. I beat him once early in the season. My goaltending was red hot.
okay,
Red hot. Like I had like 15 points or something in the
okay, well,
goaltending
that
department.
happens, right?
Yeah,
Any given week type thing.
yeah,
Your goalies are hot, and then all of a sudden you get 60 penalty minutes, right?
Yeah.
I only need to find one more stat.
So anyway, I'm thinking the Lakers and the Pitter Patter. That was the best I could come up with. First place against third in the Bossy, and there's quite a discrepancy in the records, but that just goes to show you that I guess you could throw the Islanders and Lakers in there as well, but if you went past that game, all the others are just blowouts. Just
Okay.
you
But those
could look at that
sometimes can be-
schedule and goes, oh, that team wins, 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 that team wins. It's that done.
Well, then that fucked up stat comes along along the way that some fucking McDavid getting 15 penalty minutes,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, like you can't expect that happening, and all of a sudden it comes up and it's Sunday and fucking McDavid gets 15 penalty minutes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you steal a category, and now
Yeah.
you fucking beat that team because you stole that category, because McDavid's not expected to get 15 penalty minutes.
No.
He's not there in Flurry.
No, that's for sure. So that pretty much wraps up our week for in the zone here. Do you got anything overall about this past week, or maybe even about
think
what's coming up?
I think what's really cool is that because of the podcast, it creates some, like, no matter if you're trying to be one of the top 8 teams, or whatever, like maybe you're a top 4 team. The top 4 teams, obviously, there's a separation. We both know that.
Yeah.
But I think that you're catching them faster you'll be the guy that moves up faster than anybody, and like you'll get into the top 5 before anybody else that's not in the top 5 already. That's what I'm gonna say. Now, that being said, there's still good battles for the teams in the 5-8 slot, as well as there's good battles in the 1-4 slot.
Yes.
Because
Oh,
really,
yeah.
you say the
Yeah,
bottom 2
there is.
teams, and then you go
Well,
the
it
3,
was
4, 5, 6 teams.
it
like-
was funny last night when I went to go check the standings after it was done.
Yeah.
All calculated that. First, I went to see, okay, how did that match up the top? And then I go, oh, what's happening down in the race at the bottom, right? So I go to the bottom and oh my God, JP won 2 or moved 2 spots out. And I'm like, so I'm watching that race and this race and the middle race go on. And right now I'm in
Yeah.
Middle Earth. I'm in Middle Earth. That's where I am right now.
Well, and I think that's what's important, is that because it's not just like you have to work for your draft picks essentially,
Yeah.
and you have to play for them too. Like, just because you finish last in the league doesn't mean that you're going to get the first pick next year,
No, it doesn't.
right? Because you still have to play those games in order to win that.
Yes, you
And I
do.
think that that's why fantasy, the way that it's going now, as
And
opposed to the
then,
way it
and
used
don't
to be.
forget, like, let's be honest here. I was a heavy favorite last year in that. And Ryan won the first game against me and I couldn't catch him
Yeah,
because he had the tiebreaker, right?
yeah,
And I should have won that. I should have
yeah.
won Drysdale. And I just couldn't catch him.
Could
Once
you
he beat me.
imagine? Well, I mean, you still got the consolation prize with
Yeah,
Panarin.
Panarin.
I mean, he's not going to get the points that
Yeah.
Draisaitl does. I think. I mean, that's a 30-point difference at the end of the season.
I'm still fine with that because
No,
my
no,
guy's
I
a
get
whole
that, but
bunch over too.
it's still a 30-point player, right? You know,
It
like,
sucked. All I'm saying is no matter what you do to prepare yourself for going in, like Dan is,
yeah,
to try to take his weapons, there's no guarantee he's going to get first overall
yeah, yeah.
with even with Ovechkin in there. Who knows? Ovechkin could be injured through the playoffs.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is the risk of when guys when guys' contracts are running out. One thing that you know, everybody looks at Dean and stuff. Well, fuck, you know how he does it.
Yeah, I've been trying to
He
explain
fucking
it to
moves his
everybody.
players before their contracts runs out. He
Yes.
doesn't leave. He
I
knows that
know.
if he signs a guy for 5 years, he's trading him when he's got 2 years left.
Yeah.
Because he just keeps supplementing himself because of it.
Yeah.
And
I think Dean doesn't.
Assets for the players that along the way. That's the biggest thing that he does.
Dean doesn't get attached to his players like
No.
said owner somewhere around here, said owner who sometimes gets way over attached to his
Yeah.
players and just will never freaking let them go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's about to change, people. I'm telling you, I'm here to buy out some people. I'm starting to buy. You don't start performing on the Courtney Islanders from now on, you're fucking gone.
Okay, so who are you looking at buying out?
Ryan Pollock.
Really? Are you that disappointed in him?
No, I'm not gonna buy him out.
Huh?
Yeah, just on that one. Yes, of course.
Like,
He's
come
injured.
on.
He's injured.
And he's got 1 year left?
No, I'm just saying that okay, I'll tell you. Oh, I'll tell you. Kotkaniemi. You know, like I just thought I took him to the max. I mean, I think he was 119 games, and I still prospected him.
Yeah.
So I prospected him into 178, 180 games, and he's still, you know, like I went through this with Puljujarvi.
Yes.
I had a feeling Puljujarvi was going to do what he's done, but I'm not getting that feeling from Kotkaniemi. I shouldn't be saying that with him on my team because I should try to trade him first, but you know, I might keep him. I might keep him. It just depends. But there's certain people that I'm not gonna undersign my new guys that I'm drafting next year because I'm hanging on to 2 years of Kotkaniemi, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
I'm not gonna do that stuff anymore. I'm just gonna outright buy him out. So my new plan now is in the draft. I'm going to draft accordingly, and then I'm going to do some buyouts, and then I'm going to sign my players.
So are you saying between the draft and the season, you're going to allow teams to buy out players then?
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if they're on your team, we go to the draft, we fill our 30 spots.
Yeah.
You're going to allow teams to drop before the season starts.
To buy out?
To buy out.
Yep.
So you're going to go less than 30 to start the season then. That's what's going to happen, which means that the waiver wire is your friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's fine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It works. Creates more money in the pool.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you'll get more money from me because I'm not screwing around these people, except my one big major mistake is spending $5 to get Troy Terry off my team. That was a little tad bit of an error.
I'll do that, Terry. We all make that fucking mistake.
It was bad.
Like I've been sitting on Nylander. Fuck, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, I know.
5 years now, because he's
I know.
getting hurt.
Yeah.
And so it's like, like I potentially could keep him again, but fuck.
I know.
Well,
it's like It's like Cody Glass for me. No,
Exactly. I saw that last night too, and I went, oh,
Dear
fuck, there's a
God.
buyout potential right there.
Well, he's not going to be a buyout because I haven't signed him. So
Yeah, he's just gonna be
but
released.
he's gone next. I can tell you right now, he's gone
I
next.
just don't get him. I don't, maybe he's not being utilized in the right role. But like Glass and Dubé, you know, like coming out of juniors, these guys were fucking studs.
Yeah.
And they just haven't been able to cut it at the NHL level.
Agreed.
You know, it's
Anyway,
so, yeah,
bud.
but then we all get those guys, Terry. Everybody gets them. The only
I
guy that
know.
I don't think that seems to lose out on prospects is fucking Moneymaker.
I know.
Every fucking guy he drafts, he seems to be able to sit on them long enough that they turn out.
Yeah, it seems that way.
And-
It does. Anyway, we got to wrap this up, Keith. It's getting a little
Okay.
long here. So anyway, I want to thank Keith from the Mustangs for joining me tonight on the podcast. It was a lot of fun. It was a good week to go over. I think we've got a lot of exciting no control zone hockey coming up. Like you said, we kind of see in almost 3 different leagues right now, right? We kind of the top tier, the middle tier, and the bottom tier, and fight it out and see what happens. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a good week. I probably will have this posted before tomorrow, but it doesn't look like the rosters are frozen right now. So you can adjust your lineups if you have Flames or whoever's playing Flames and you want to move out your players, you can do that before tomorrow. So just thought to let you know that. All right, guys. Thanks for watching tonight. And Keith, thanks once again. So you guys take care and peace out.